on and see. Jan wants to take his coat off. Okay, good evening. I'm Janet Anderson. I call to order the Town of Lewisboro Planning Board meeting for Tuesday, April 16th, 2024 at 7:34 p.m. So for everyone who hasn't been here, the exit is the way you came in. These exits to my left are for emergency only. And in order to comply with the open meetings law, we must meet in person. We do not have the capability for the public to attend by Zoom, nor can we stream our meetings to YouTube, but we will post an audio recording of this meeting to the town website. Materials considered at this meeting are available in the agenda packet that's posted for this meeting, and members of the public can always express their views by mail or email to planning@lewisborogov.com, or the new one, lewisboronewyork.gov. Planning at lewisborony.gov. Oh, not the whole New York. Okay, ny.gov. Kirsten Conrad, our planning board administrator, has confirmed that the meeting has been duly noticed and legal notice requirements fulfilled. Joining me tonight from the town of Lewisboro are my fellow members of the planning board, Paul Fusco, John Guzmano, Charlene Indelicato, and Bruce Thompson. We do have a quorum, and thus we can conduct the business of the board and vote on any matters that come before us. We also have our consultant, Jan Johannesson from KSCJ, and our counsel, Judd Siebert, is also here, planning board administrator, Kirsten Conrad, and the building inspector, Kevin Kelly, and CAC chair, John Wolf. So with that, the first item on our agenda is a public hearing. This is calendar number 06-17PB, calendar number 43-23WP, calendar number 18-23SW, the Wolf Conservation Center, Buck Run, South Salem, New York. This is an application for site development, plan approval, special use permit approval, wetland activity permit approval, stormwater permit approval for a private nature preserve. So this application has been before us for a while, and we did a neg deck in June of 2023. We opened the public hearing in November, and here we are. So
good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. For the record, my name is Janet Garris. I'm a partner with Del Bello, Dinelli, Weingart, and Wise & Whitaker here this evening on behalf of the Wolf Conservation Center. Spencer Wilhelm with the Wolf Conservation Center joining me. I expected our engineer, who is not here yet, but thank you for having us this evening. So as you mentioned, Madam Chair, we were before you. I think it was back, our last visit with you, I think was December. And you opened the public hearing for this matter. I know you're familiar with it, and in the interest of time I won't go through all the details, but since we were before you last, we've been working on not only the comments that have been raised by your engineering consultant. We have, I think we've submitted our 72-hour pump test work plan. We are, I think.
We have it.
We haven't submitted it yet. We will be submitting our 72-hour work plan, our work plan for our 72-hour pump test, and we are working on that. But since we were here last, some good news. We were able to get to the Zoning Board of Appeals in connection with our variance for the fence height. That was granted. We got some very nice reception from the Zoning Board of Appeals. We had a site visit with them as well. We have also gotten approval from the New York State DEC for our wetland permit. We also have good news from New York City DEP. They had some comments on our application materials. I think they were looking for some minor modifications to some construction sequencing, but all good news from the DEP, and we hope to have that information resubmitted and back to them by the end of this week. We are also in the process of getting applications into the Department of Health in connection with the subdivision. We had lots of people that had to sign forms and other things. So that's going. The change of use with the Department of Health will be processed along with the water supply applications. So things are moving forward. All good news. Happy to report that to you. as soon as we get that work plan in.
And I did speak to representatives of HES, Bill Canavan's firm, and they will continue to review that plan. So there's no need to bring in a new consultant. When you submit the work plan, they will review it.
Okay, that sounds good. So that's where we are. We wanted to just update you on that this evening. I don't think that there's anything new to present in terms of the project itself. It hasn't changed. It's remained as you've seen it for now a number of years. So that's where we are. We are hoping that we are at a point with you where if there are no further comments from the public, that you'll be in a position to close the hearing. I don't know how you feel about that. I don't think that there's anything new that will come to you. But that's certainly for the board to decide, and that would be our request of you this evening. But we're here to answer any other questions you might have.
Okay, so I think you said you're going to the Department of Health for change of use, the septic,
supply.
the water supply, and for the subdivision?
So the subdivision, which was approved by this board, has to be signed off by the Department of
Okay.
Health. We needed signatures on all of that from the town and the county. That took a little while. You approved that back in November, so
Right.
you know, we had to get forms and applications together. County signed, town signed, Wolf Center signed, and that stuff is if it hasn't been submitted, it will be submitted by week's end.
Okay.
So it's all part of the process.
Right, right. No, I was just, I expected the change of use and the water supply. I didn't know about the subdivision. Okay, or I didn't remember it.
It's really a lot line consolidation, but the
Right.
department treats it as a non-jurisdictional subdivision plat approval. So there's an application, there's a process to go through with the health department.
Okay, so it's the merger of the lots,
Right.
nothing to do with the prior subdivision that took out the
Yes.
brought the land.
It's all part and parcel of the same thing.
Same thing? Okay,
So it's taking out Old Field, and then it's merging the remainder of the Wolf Conservation Center
Okay.
property.
interesting. Okay, thank you. So just to confirm, there's no member of the public that has signed up to speak. I just want to make sure that if anyone came in who wants to speak on this matter. Okay. I know you want the public hearing closed. I'm a little bit hesitant to do that without either having, I mean, me personally, without having the pump test, even the process reviewed, or finding out the results, because that might change things, even though we all expect it to go well. I don't know. Jan, do you have a sense about whether we should keep this open for the pump test results?
I think the only hesitation would be that I think you would trigger when you close the hearing,
A timing.
starts a time frame which you have to approve.
We would happily waive that time frame if that became an issue. And then also, it's always, you know, at the board's prerogative to be able to reopen that hearing should something arise. And then we would end up needing to renotice.
Yeah.
That's the disadvantage of that, but we'd like to get it closed and we'd like to get moving.
I'm okay with that.
I'll look and see what other people think.
Yeah, from my end, it's fine, if they're willing to.
They're waiving, if that's the only concern you have,
Yeah, they waive it, it's fine. with me.
Okay,
I'll make a motion.
I mean, since we've heard that the DEP, you know, has minor concerns, and once you've got the DEC permit, that's the big news.
The board
ZBA is big news.
The board had previously indicated that it would be willing to make the DEP, the health department, and the DEC all conditions of the resolution. We're waiting, we wanted to get some feedback from the DEP, which we've gotten. We got the notice of complete application, so they're there. They have the DEC permit, so
Right,
they're in good shape there.
okay. Yes, if you want to make a motion,
I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing on the Wolf Center.
with the recognition that the applicant has been willing to
Waive.
waive the time,
62-day period.
yeah, the
Yeah.
time constraints that come along with closing it. Okay. Have
I
a
second
second?
that one.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. So I think the natural next step is typically that we ask Jan to start working on a resolution. You might have already been working on it somewhat,
It's there, we're just waiting for
the final
contest.
things. Okay.
So we will continue moving forward. I think that there are very few comments of
Yes.
Jan's that we need to address. We will get that work plan in, we will get that pump test going, and then I don't think it's probable that we would be back next month, but we will see what we can get submitted by next week, and we'll keep the process moving.
Well, I think this is great progress. You've moved things along, it's been a while, so I'm happy to see that a lot of things are coming in and that we're able to keep going.
Yeah, we're very excited, so we are very grateful for your cooperation, and we look forward to finishing the process with you.
Great.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good evening. Okay, the next item on our agenda is calendar number 02-20 PB. The Mandia Residences, 65 Old Bedford Road in Golden's Bridge. So this is a request for the final release of the apartment's construction performance bond. And so we did review the request at our March meeting. We asked the town board for the ability to manage this. They did get back to us and say that it's been delegated to us to have the public hearing. So we now have a public hearing that's open on the matter.
Yes, Bruce Mandia, 65 Old Bedford LLC, and once again, here to request the final release of the performance bond.
Okay, we didn't have anyone sign up, but is there a member of the public who wishes to comment on this matter? No. Okay,
And I didn't receive any comments at the office.
thank you.
Email or US mail.
Okay. Jan, did you get a chance to go and,
Yeah, we performed an inspection today, everything looked great, all the plantings are in fantastic shape, and no issues whatsoever.
Great.
okay, so I guess we need to close the public hearing. It was a very brief public hearing as opposed to some of the other ones.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Great.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Charlene. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. In anticipation of this, we did have a resolution and prepared by Judd and circulated to the board. So Judd, do you want to review the highlights?
Yeah, the highlights are, very few. The town continues to hold 10% of performance security. The 10% was a retainage that was held after completion of the work, issuance of the certificate of occupancy, and it's held for a 1-year period. We've reached that 1-year period. There's $4,600, give or take, currently held by the town. As Jan indicated, inspection's been done. All of the site improvements that were covered by the performance security are in good shape. And this is just a final closeout, which will allow the town to release that remaining 10%.
Anybody have any questions about that? Okay, so I'd look for a motion to approve or to adopt this resolution that's just been described to us by Judd.
I so move.
Okay, and
Second.
Bruce seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank the board and everyone involved for these several years. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. The next matter on our agenda is a decision. This is on sort of two different but related projects. Calendar number 03-23 PB, calendar number 05-23 SW. 19 Mark Mead Road LLC parking on 19 Mark Mead Road in Cross River, New York, and also on calendar number 06-24SW. Did we get a calendar number for the site plan for that one?
It was received today, and I
Okay.
assigned it.
Calendar number 2B assigned for the site plan for Baccio Trattoria parking, 12 North Salem Road, Cross River, New York. Okay, so this was, it's all about more parking spaces for the Baccio restaurant. And so we have been reviewing this for a while. We had a public hearing that was closed in February. And there were a few things that were still open that needed to happen. We have received a resolution from Jan, and maybe Jan, if you want to, and a neg deck, if you want to go through that.
We drafted at the board's request a negative declaration of significance, site development plan approval, and a town stormwater permit for Baccio, additional parking. This affects both 12 North Salem Road and 19 Mark Mead Road. Affects the two parcels, collectively 2.83 acres of land. At 12 North Salem Road, they're proposing to construct, 12 North Salem Road is Baccio proper, the restaurant itself. 12 additional on-site parking spaces, 1 additional accessible parking spaces that will result in a total of 3 accessible parking spaces, the relocation of an existing sidewalk, stormwater runoff from the additional parking will enter and be collected and treated via an existing stormwater management basin that has extra capacity. The septic system expansion trenches will be reconfigured, and the health department's requiring modifications to the public water system in the form of a chlorination system. At 19 Mark Mead, which is across the street, also owned by the same owner, they're proposing the installation of 16 gravel parking spaces to be accessed via an existing driveway off North Salem Road, to be used by Baccio's employees and the tenants of the existing residents at 19 Mark Mead Road. They're also proposing stormwater management practices for the parking area and some landscaping. There's a whereas clause and a condition in the resolution that the parking for 19 Mark Mead Road, as has been stated by the applicant, is for the exclusive use for Baccio, located at 12 Salem Road, and for the residential tenants at 19 Mark Mead Road, and shall not be used for any other purpose. There's no exterior lighting part of the proposed application. Anything that was previously indicated that the larger parking lot has been removed. There's no regulated or no disturbance within any regulated steep slope or wetland buffer. The project is located within the New York City DEP designated Main Street area. It is subject to their rules and regulations, and the applicant applied to the DEP for swift approval. They are applying to the health department to modify the septic expansion trenches, and also and the health department's requiring them to modify their public water system. The planning board referred the application to the Westchester County Planning Board. As required, the county planning board provided some comments. All those comments have been addressed. That's reflected in the resolution. The planning board had a public hearing. We've had a couple of different meetings. All those comments have been evaluated by the planning board. This action is an unlisted action subject to secret. The applicant submitted a short form EAF that looked at both parcels collectively, and there's a negative declaration that's attached to this resolution. I'm just going to go through some of the conditions. associated with the project, and then also identify one modification to the resolution that I emailed you earlier today. So the conditions include New York City DEP SWIP approval to the extent determined necessary. I think it's a little open-ended whether they actually need to approve anything here. On the above the accessory parking lot, that's a completely gravel parking lot. I think it's kind of open-ended as to whether the DEP is going to require a SWIP approval there, but it's before them. The applicant's made an application, and if it requires an approval, they'll get it. As I indicated previously, the health department's requiring a chlorination system for the restaurant, as well as some kind of modification of the septic system, expansion trenches to help modification of some of the proposed improvements proposed. One of the conditions is a declaration, legal declaration, that will be prepared to the satisfaction of the planning board attorney, that will restrict the use of the proposed parking spaces at 19 Mark Mead Road for the exclusive use of Baccio employees and the tenants of the residents at 19 Mark Mead Road. That will be filed with the county clerk. There'll be a required engineering and inspections fee of 5%, cost of construction, site work only. It'll be based on a cost of work to be provided by the applicant's engineer. Right now, as proposed, there's a sidewalk on 12 North Salem Road, Baccio proper, that is being eliminated as a result of 3 proposed parking spaces. And I've talked to Joe that we're going to try to not eliminate it, but actually relocate it so it can continue to be in use. And I think it'll be necessary for the 12 additional parking spaces that are proposed. I think it'll even serve more of a function now in the future with those 12 spots. So we've asked that continue to be part of the plan. The rest are kind of pro forma conditions. There was one additional condition that, or resolve clause that I brought up to the board today, and that is that perhaps the applicant may wish to complete the project in phases, and it's possible that they may want to construct the accessory parking lot ahead of the 12 spots at Baccio, and it's more than likely that they'll get approval for that a lot quicker because of the health department issues with the restaurant. So we have a proposed resolve clause that could be inserted into the resolution tonight that would allow that if the board is inclined. And that would read, nothing herein shall be deemed to prevent the owner from constructing the project in phases, with the phase-in boundary lines being coterminous with the parcel boundaries of 19 Mark Mead Road and 12 North Salem Road, provided that all applicable conditions are satisfied and all outside agency approvals are in place for the related phases of work as determined by the town's consulting professionals. So, for instance, on 12 Mark Mead, they may need DEP approval. So if they were to go ahead and construct 12 Mark Mead parking spaces, we'd want to make sure that they got the DEP approval. But they don't need the health department approval for that. So that'd really be the only thing that they would need to go ahead and construct those spaces. So we would allow them to go ahead and build that and wait for the health department approval for the 12 or so spaces at the restaurant.
So I think maybe the first thing we ought to do is just make sure people are okay with that added clause. I think it makes a lot of sense because it is, as Jan indicated, very possible that the approvals for making the parking lot on the site that's 19 Mark Mead Road, all that, those approvals will be available before some of the details on the Department of Health that come in. And just to try to get,
Project moving.
yeah, try to get, more parking available even before the others. So and I think, so I'd like to just sort of see, are we okay adding that in?
I think it's a good idea.
We don't
It
need
keeps
an
the
amendment
project
for
moving.
it, right?
We need to put that,
If you're going to make a motion,
say, as amended.
Yeah.
Okay.
The resolution,
As
subject to
amended.
to that revision, yeah, and we'll fold it in.
Right.
I mean, but the language that Jan literally recited is acceptable. Yeah, we'll just be placing that language into the resolution.
And I always forget, do we need a motion for the neg deck separately?
I think we've now at a point where it's a motion for the resolution, which includes the negative declaration, so.
Okay.
A single motion.
So we're looking for a motion for the resolution as amended
The
and
negative declaration.
the neg deck.
I so move. And I also want to say and really thank the applicant for all the work that they did with the neighbors
Yep.
and the surrounding areas and taking that into consideration.
Yeah, and I guess I should check, you guys are okay with that amending the sidewalk a little bit? And I assume you're okay with us allowing 19 Mark Mead to go before the rest of it as well? I mean, you can make that decision later, but obviously, yeah, okay. Yes, and Bruce seconds. And I would also echo that I think, trying to fulfill a need, but also listening to the neighbors, it came across really clear that you were listening to what they said and striving to fulfill, to accommodate their concerns. So that's good. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so I'll sign this, but if it needs to get changed in order to fit that in,
It's going to be changed. I just suggest that.
Don't sign it?
Let's.
I'll come back in.
Let it rise and come back tomorrow.
okay. Okay, great. Anything else?
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Okay, good luck. Okay, the next item on our agenda is also a decision. It's calendar number 02-24 PB. This is the Tacona Cantina at Golden's Bridge Village Center on Route 22 in Golden's Bridge, New York, and it's an application of a change of use from retail to restaurant. And this was, again, reviewed in March. We felt we needed a parking calculation. We did get that, and Jan has prepared a resolution for us. So maybe Jan, I'll ask you to go through it
A
briefly.
little bit more detailed than I thought it would be. I'll go through it here. First, in speaking with the design engineer, he indicated to me today that it's for a 26-seat restaurant, not 25. I'm not sure if the application materials reflect that, but that appears to be the request. So if the board is okay with that, I would change the resolution to reflect 26 seats, and I'll indicate where appropriate how that affects the parking. But basically, the proposal is to convert a former video rental tenant space at Golden's Bridge Shopping Center to a full-service restaurant. It's a 600 square foot space. The new restaurant will propose 26 seats. The new use has a greater parking requirement than the former use. In the resolution, it says 5 seats. It's now 6 seats because of the additional seats. We asked the applicant to provide a parking evaluation, that has been prepared. It was prepared by Bimbo Associates and submitted April 5th. That indicated, as we knew, that the shopping center in total, when you look at all the different uses in the shopping center, and you compare those uses to the parking requirements as outlined in the zoning code, that there's a 60 parking space shortfall from a purely zoning perspective. And we knew that from prior applications. This will increase that because of the change of use to 66. Okay. So you got a greater parking demand because of going from retail to restaurant. Now, the zoning ordinance allows the planning board to approve the joint use of parking spaces on properties that have multiple uses, like shopping centers. We have multiple uses with different operating hours, with different peak demands, which we have here. And I thought, in my mind at the last meeting, that's where it ended. But when I went back to the code, it said that, and then there was a B and a C. And the B said, well, that shortfall, they have to land bank. They have to show you that somewhere on the property, that delta, that shortfall, they're able to build somewhere on the property in case they need it in the future. And then C was, there's a legal agreement that they'll continue to operate in such a manner that would allow them to not change the uses that would cause them to require the space, something of that nature. So it became a little bit more complicated than I originally anticipated.
Sorry, are the B and C ors or ands?
They're ands.
Ands.
And we dealt with this at Oak Ridge a few years ago with Phil Pine. And we did the joint use of parking spaces there, and he has a designated land banked area denoted on his site plan if the board ever determined that additional parking is needed. Either the applicant has the right to build those spaces, or the board can demand that they be constructed. They're kind of like shovel-ready spaces. That's what would need to be done here if he wants the 26 seats. Alternatives would be reducing the number of seats to 16. That would get him to a delta of no net increase from the video store, or seek a variance. I looked back on prior change of use applications at Lewisboro Shopping Center, and all of them were either status quo, there was no change in parking demand, or they were a lesser demand.
Mm-hmm.
When we looked at the expansion of the Lewisboro Shopping Center, they were seeking variances, so this never came into play. So it's kind of new for the Lewisboro Shopping Center. The way I wrote the original resolution indicated the 65 space deficit, which is now 66, and said that if they wanted the now 26 seats, they would have to demonstrate on the property that they could put 26 parking spaces, which I think they could because they
Well, it's
got...
Not 26.
Not 26.
I'm sorry,
Six.
60,
66. Right,
which I think they could because they have
parking going
the
on.
parking down at the south end that they could accommodate. But in thinking about it a little further and then speaking with Kevin and the applicant and Judd, I think really what they would have to land bank is the delta between the video store and the restaurant, which is now 6 spaces.
Mhm.
So I would need to change some numbers in the resolution, which is easy to do. But I think at the end of the day, the 26-seat restaurant would result in a deficit of 6 spaces that they would need to denote on a site plan that for future use these could be constructed. The applicant, I spoke to the engineer today at Delaney, and they're already working on that plan. That's where we are.
Okay, so first of all, I think one of the things that you said that I hadn't picked up on before is some prior uses were actually lower parking requirements. Was that included in the parking calculations that we saw?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's like when Subway went in,
yeah,
that I think was an equal to the prior use, or it might have been less, because I think that might have been a post office. I forget what Subway
I
was.
don't recall, yeah.
But, yeah, the current calculation is
Based with the
accurate
deficits.
to today's.
okay,
uses.
to today's uses, okay. So, can we make it a condition that the?
Yes, the way that the resolution is written is that the applicant produce a site plan that illustrates the land banking of, it says 65, it should.
But 6.
We'll revise it to 6.
Yep,
And with the calculations of like the time of use and stuff like that, how does that map out? Are we in a positive use, right? Because the 60-plus spaces is for, doesn't count for time of use, right? That's just straight numbers for all the different stores. Not if one's open.
Right,
Right.
correct.
So-
Yeah.
And so with this new use and time period that we were talking about last month, how does that fall?
I think the board just has to be comfortable that at any given time, when this particular restaurant is open, that they feel that there'll be 6 spaces available.
Okay.
Which,
yeah, I
because
don't,
of the variety of uses in their hours of operation, which their table includes the hours of operation for every single use in the center,
Right.
I think they logically make that conclusion, but that's totally up to you.
Yep.
yeah, I don't know that that table was circulated, but it was in the agenda packet for tonight. So we had a chance to look at it.
Wasn't circulated to you?
I,
It was in there?
Yeah.
I thought it was.
I think
you got it? Okay, I might have missed
also
it.
asked for the, in the resolution, that the final site plan, which is going to be an existing condition survey, which they have already of the entire property because of the past application, is going to also denote the 6 spaces, illustrate them, but also have this parking calculation
And
on the plan, so we have it as a record document.
Okay.
all in one
That's
spot.
smart.
Okay,
Yeah, that is part of the, it's in the agenda packet, April 5th, 2024, dated April 5th, 2024.
okay. It's been busy, it's very possible I missed it, but I know it was in the agenda packet, because that's
No,
where I
it's here,
found it.
yeah.
Yep. And I'm assuming that going with 26 as opposed to 16 seats is the preferred approach? Yes, okay,
Only if he
And
wants to
that's
stay in
what was
business.
apparently approved by the health department.
okay,
So,
good.
And those 26 seats are referenced in the parking space evaluation.
Right.
Yeah.
So I marked up this, but I might not have gotten everything. Well, first of all, let's, do we have any other discussion, or do we want to have a motion to, can I ask for a motion to approve the resolution as
As
discussed?
amended?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah,
Bruce?
I so approve based on what we've just talked about.
And the amendments that will go into it?
Correct.
Okay.
I'll second it.
John seconds. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, do you want me to sign this as it's marked up, or should I?
I'm going to rewrite, I'm going to rewrite it.
Yeah.
Okay, because I've got lots of marks all the way through it. Okay. I'll be in tomorrow, I think. Yeah, I will be in tomorrow, so I can sign this then. Okay.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
members of the board.
Good luck. Okay. Okay, the next item on our agenda is an extension of time request for Gossett Brothers Nursery, calendar number 03-20PB, calendar number 37-20WP. This is an extension of time for a wetland activity permit approval that expired in March 18th of 2024. Hello. So, you need an extension of time. Can you tell us how things are going?
It's going well. We have the health department approvals. The construction's moving along. And in order to complete the rest of the site work, and you need a little more time, so
Okay.
that's basically why we're here.
So in talking to Jan and Judd, I think what we can, for the wetland permit, we can extend it 180 days maximum. And I would say let's keep the site plan and the wetland permit tied together. So,
Just do both of them.
yeah, so a 6-month extension gives you something.
That'd be
So-
perfect, yeah, I appreciate that.
Look for a motion. All right, Bruce moved, Charlene seconds. Any further discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. You have your extension of time, right, good luck. Okay. So the next item on the agenda is a site visit report for calendar number 0623 PB. This is the Double H Farm Reed Subdivision, 20 Boutonville Road South in Cross River, New York. And this is an application for division and private writing academy. And we first saw this at our March meeting, and at that March meeting, we set up a site visit, and we also referred this to the building inspector and to the fire department. So I did write up and circulate a summary of our site walk, which I will go through right now. The attendees from the applicant were Rich Williams and Charlie Martabano, from the planning board, myself, Paul Fusco, John Guzmano, Charlene Indelicato, Bruce Thompson, and from the CAC, both John Wolf and Sally Frank attended. So we met at the paved area in front of the barn, and we discussed the overall site plan. And we were told it would have 2 phases, and potentially separate owners' residence would be built on the Pound Ridge parcel. As part of Phase 1, we heard about the plans to put in a sand ring and a Grand Prix area in an area that is currently sloping lawn. Part of that area is in the wetland buffer. The need to re-level the area will require the removal of several large trees, which we did see later as we walked. We were told about the areas that would be part of the lot line change or subdivision towards the Route 121. We also discussed the plans for wells and septic areas in general terms. We asked about traffic in and out of the parcel, and as part of that discussion, we were referred to the business plan, which had the amount of traffic described. We noted that the edges of the paved driveway had wheel marks from the vehicles that were unable to stay on the pavement, and the applicant said that widening the driveway was under consideration. We then walked around the existing barn and manure storage area. The preliminary plan for the larger barn and the new structures behind the current barn indicated that the barn enlargement and the trailer path that would be behind it would require the removal of many, if not all, of the large trees which are on the outside of the existing paddocks. So it appears that most of the mature trees that we saw near the pasture areas will have to be removed for this expansion. After coming around the barn, we walked down a gravel road that bordered the wetland area. I forgot to mention in here, we also noted that there were chicken coops and weren't sure, one of the questions was whether other animals would be part of the future application. We walked down a gravel road that bordered the wetland area and down the hill towards the maintenance building. The maintenance building will be rebuilt on the current footprint as a maintenance first floor shed with the second floor having a housing area in it. We did ask for more details about the housing plans. We could see the impact of over over 1 inch of recent rainfall. It was obvious water was sheet flowing across a lot of the grassy areas. Water had pooled on a concrete base near the wetland. As Bruce pointed out, this flowing water may indicate the presence of multiple seeps and a high water table that will need to be addressed as the plans mature, and because it may limit infiltration or other stormwater practices, just the amount of seeps and high water level. Rich discussed the need for new drainage patterns to keep the road off the to keep the water off the gravel road, and said that would be part of phase 1 and the regrading that would have to take place to get the sand and Grand Prix areas in place. The water currently drains onto Boutonville Road and enters the catch basin system. We also discussed that the plans for phase 2 were pretty much in the conceptual phase and had some more, they would be refined. And finally, the applicant indicated that they might be delayed in attending and asked us to push it off. And luckily, here they are, and we are able to proceed. So,
We broke every speed limit possible just to not disappoint you.
no. The police are right next door.
Right, I didn't say that to them. I was just-
Okay. So, anybody have any other comments that they want to add to this? And I think I captured your comment, Bruce, about the seeps and the, okay.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of where we are. We didn't get any new materials from the applicant before this, so
Oh, it was a good summary.
anything further?
I think you captured
And I updated this after I sent it to you, so I will send it to you again. Okay.
Is that going to be circulated?
It'll be in the record.
It goes into the minutes.
Perfect. I just was writing everything down, I don't know if we captured everything.
And it's also on a recording, so you can hear it all again. It will get posted by
Any times as you want.
maybe by the end of the week, I don't know, but it'll be posted at some point. So yes, it's all, but I don't think it's all what we discussed on site. I don't think there's anything new that we didn't.
I have a couple of quick questions whenever you're ready to take questions.
Sure.
Okay, right, so
Okay, for the record, just say who you are and for the recording.
Charles Mornabowne, attorney for the applicant. You just mentioned a couple of things, the question about, because I want to complete that full business plan under the double H letterhead and get that to you as per your request. I want to make sure I address all the issues. As you said during the site visit, we pointed out that I think most of the information was already set forth in there, but it does want to be on the letterhead, as you pointed out. I noticed tonight you mentioned other animals, so we will address that. And I think and housing, we'll address that. Are there any other issues that we didn't preliminarily address in the summary we already provided to you so that I can make sure what we give you is complete?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about housing. So we really kind of, I mean, it's been said the number, but we also kind of want to know, what is this? Is this bunk beds? Is it a big open area? Are there separate rooms with common? What's your concept? Because to me, this is totally foreign. Okay, and I think, hours of operation, traffic, we talked about all that. I'm sorry, go ahead, Charlene.
No, as to the traffic, I mean, there wasn't a delineation of how many trucks would go in. Like, there's going to be trucks for hay, I suppose. I suppose the horses eat. I really don't know.
Other than grazing on the
Right,
area,
yeah.
So you're saying like ordinary service
Yeah,
vehicles?
because,
Like a
yes,
oil
and
truck?
deliveries and like all the trucks that will be there and used.
So that might be almost part of the housing is,
Yeah,
are they
that's
going to
true.
have different, are they going to be, the people who live there, do they each
Size
have
of trucks.
a car? Will they be traveling in and out? I'm sure somebody has to do grocery runs, or not only for the horses, but for the people. I mean, just some sense. I don't,
And where do they park?
yeah,
I understand what you want, and we'll get it to you.
great.
And I think Jan mentioned the length.
I don't recall the information that was in the plan, Charlie, but do you have like the number of truck trips, the length of the trucks, the size of the trucks, tonnage of the trucks, that kind of thing?
I don't think I put tonnage in size. As I mentioned, it would be for rare occasions when the horses are being transported off to shows. Remember that the horses are only going to be here, generally speaking, the summer months. That's a training session. They may go, and I think the question was asked during the site visit, would they go off-site for shows? Rarely, but that's possible. I'll get more delineation on that. And we said that we would be using a special delivery service, a horse vehicle. I can get some delineation.
Some like parameters on the size and
Yeah.
Yeah.
like maximums, I guess.
Got you.
And those are not going to be stored on site?
No.
You just, right, okay.
We did specify in the write-up how many vehicles would be on, how many trailers would be on site. I think we have.
Yeah, so
You've got
for your reporting, Rich Williams in site. We indicated that we're going to have 2 horse trailers on site capable of carrying 3 horses, 1 horse trailer capable of carrying 5 horses. We anticipate our trailers would make 2 trips a month during the season. And then we don't have the exact number of the transport coming in.
But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Are there going to be competitions?
No. This is private training. This is, no, this is meant to be a quiet place to train horses.
Exactly.
Exclusively for summer months.
Okay, but so you have lighting and what are those called? Stands. On
The
the,
viewing stands.
I'm sorry?
The viewing stands.
Yeah, so that would be just for, that would not be for the public?
No, that's for our clients.
Just, it's actually going to be just like what you saw when you were on site at the existing sand ring, just relocated over and enlarged, because we need a little bit more space for the type of training that's done.
Oh, I thought I remembered the lighting by the Grand Prix. It's by the sand?
We're not proposing lighting as of right now. So there is a viewing stand that's a part of sand ring construction. There's a little viewing stand now on the existing sand ring. And we're going to have a viewing stand on the new sand ring as well.
I apologize. I was sure I remembered lighting on one of those. And
No outdoor lighting?
Well, I'll get a clarification, but
I would think you have to have some sort of lighting for safety purposes if somebody's out there at night.
well, they're not going to be training these horses.
And, at nighttime, we're not expecting,
Yeah.
seeing
But
outbreaks.
if you could check that. I am almost sure I saw on one of the plans a lighting and with the sort of staging, with the seating area. That would be helpful. Yeah, so again, but this is all the kind of questions. Bruce, did you?
No, that's all right. I don't want to interrupt you. If you
Nope.
Anymore. The other things, you might want to check with Kevin about your plans to have living quarters above a maintenance facility, because you get into some building code issues that up the expense of building significantly. So, another concern of the town is always, these are the people that would be responding to an emergency on the property. And they're not that far away, but they're downslope and away from the barn. So just check in with whatever resources you have, but Kevin.
The other thing that we briefly talked about was, and we'll have to coordinate with the fire department. The regulations on road capacity and turning radius is going to be part of this, that are going to be essential to make sure that we can support tanker trucks and all the other fire capability and the turn radius for them to get back out again versus back down a driveway.
We're with you. Believe me, the investment that's
Yeah,
in this barn is extremely important to us as well. So, and there's an existing fire system. We owe the board information on that. We are going to have several irrigation tanks, which was discussed at the sidewalk, as part of just general watering demands. And then in phase 2, we're going to actually build an irrigation pond as well, which at the sidewalk was asked if we could tie into a dry hydrant.
Yeah, and then I'm having a bit of a hard time understanding, obviously, the housing, how it's going to equate to a bedroom count, which, obviously getting that approved for the health department. will kind of dictate what we're really putting there and how many septic systems we're gonna have on one site.
Yeah. So your comment about emergencies makes me think there were going to be some additional buildings built sort of behind the barn and stuff. I don't know whether,
It's a place for the manure and a farrier house.
a farrier, so
It's
that's
not occupied, it's just.
not, yeah,
But
okay.
Still gonna need accessibility for fire capability, for fire, fire, God forbid.
And remind me what you were going to build at the very corner of the property that, as we're looking at the top left?
This is the carriage house, which will have, I believe, 2 or 3 bedrooms.
Okay. And they will probably, again, 2 or 3 bedrooms, but again, this is all part of, and a common kitchen or a living area, parking, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I know it's preliminary, and we're,
Well, actually, what I say is, almost everything that I hear about is very much focusing on all the phase 2 improvements.
Right.
Right? Most of this stuff is actually going to remain as is. The only thing we really need to do right away in order to occupy the site is the Grand Prix field and sand ring. And that's our focus. Again, you're going to have another bite at the apple when we have to come back to the site plans for phase 2. So we'd really like to try and focus on moving forward with phase 1.
Rich, those improvements are in the wetland buffer.
So we're going to have driveway improvements as part of some of the runoff conditions we saw, just trying to create a smile on the uphill side. It was discussed at the site walk, is there any mitigation that can be done in this area or buffer enhancements? Because we do have some grading as part of the Grand Prix field where we take some of the existing meadow and turn it into the patio, the fenced-in area for the field.
So just on your resubmission, just whatever wetland buffer disturbances that are occurring in phase 1, you'll need one-to-one mitigation.
And just as Rich indicated, I think it's a good idea for us to take a look, answer your questions as to phase 1, which is existing conditions to continue, and then we can talk about phase 2 separately. So I think that's good. Get your information for both, okay? But so that because we do want to move ahead with phase 1.
yeah. So we will probably want to talk about segmentation and whether that's a concern. I mean, I sort of feel like you're trying to minimize the amount of change in phase 1 so that
So you can get it moving.
meets min. It basically gives you the ability to do some stuff. I just don't know enough about segmentation. I don't know.
But I believe we're type 2.
Oh, Bruce has a question.
We're talking about
Yeah.
how to type the action.
Right.
And phase 1 at a minimum is likely type 2.
I would agree, but now we have phases, so it makes me itch. Yes.
Sorry. Point of clarification. When you just gave phase 1 with the sand ring and the Grand Prix, which phase is the maintenance with living quarters in it?
All of that is all part of phase 2.
Phase 2.
The only thing-
Okay. Wait, no, let me back up if I can on this, because this is, then where are people going to live that are overseeing this if they're having an operation there and they're there 24/7? The staff would be presumably in the maintenance building /
Where will they know?
I believe they're going to have to find offsite housing in the immediate
Yeah,
area.
okay.
It's not the ideal
So-
operation. They can occupy the site. And in fact, they do have some horses there now. They do have staff there now. The staff doesn't remain on site
But
now.
where's the staff staying?
They don't stay on site, they stay off site.
There's no staff housing right now?
I don't believe there is, but we'll confirm that.
That's a big,
That's how it's been in operation since it was previously approved. I don't,
my experience is where you had to have a special permit to keep horses, and part of the main thing about that is that somebody's on site 24/7.
We haven't asked that question, we'll get the answer to you right away.
Yeah, please do.
Of
because
course, absolutely.
That's a biggie.
Charge related to staff,
Hmm?
does staff also include family members? So somebody's working there full-time, does that mean their wife is there, their kids are there
asked that.
for a
We
class?
we had a total staff number, and I think that's the total number of
Staff
people.
versus, but you know,
No, I understand what
the
you're
actual
saying.
on the payroll versus the people that are living on
That
the
was,
property.
that's the question about housing that I keep on
Okay.
coming back to. Is it a,
I wasn't there, so forgive me.
it's, is it bunk beds or is it an apartment with a family, kids, school bus? I don't know.
Any questions? You got it.
We're on the
Yep.
same page.
Now, you said that your clients also own the Pound Ridge parcel, or no?
Yes.
Yes.
So
But the-
I'm going to be clear about this because every time we talk about it, it gets confusing. But this was originally a larger piece that extends all the way to Honey Hollow. There is a house that is on the southern side of the site that is not on our property. That house has access to Honey Hollow Road. Our property line runs here with Fountainville Road here. The town line runs here. There is, I believe, 17.4 acres in Pound Ridge that is part of our property.
But the house
But the
is not,
house,
is not owned by your client.
which is right here, is not owned by our client.
It was formerly part,
It was
if I'm
formerly-
correct. It was
I think
formerly
that's
all
correct.
one, and as part of the
Yeah.
sale, that part is not part of the parcels we're currently talking about.
You are correct.
So there's no residential component whatsoever to this property right now.
Right now, again, I don't know if there's any staff housing, that's something we have to check. I don't want to say there's none, but we'll get back to you right away on
So I
that.
think it's a crucial point to understand where people are going to be, when you have phase one operation, just to facilitate this entire operation, where people are going to be staying.
Especially since
They
the
always
vast,
had stayed in the Pound Ridge house, because they were owned collectively.
Right. And
Well, I don't know if they were staying in the main house or if there was an off-house.
Well, when it was the prior owner, she owned both.
Yeah, so
Right, so-
the owner was here.
The owner was there, and,
Yeah.
at least there was,
considering that the investment that you keep referring to is so large, there's going to have to be presence there someplace.
yeah, go ahead,
You want to
Charlene.
get there.
Go ahead, Charlene.
In the Pound Ridge property, access, ingress and egress has to be through Lewisboro.
Yeah.
How many houses can you have on 17 acres in town? I don't know the zoning.
We haven't studied it. As you know, it's a balance between septic areas, wetlands, water courses, steep slopes.
Absolutely, however, that will impact the ingress and egress onto Fountainville.
If that was part of our proposal, I would agree.
I understand that, but it is in the sense that, there's property there
You
and
just
it's
want
going
to
to
get a
impact.
sense of what.
Yeah, because
Totally.
it,
We'll get a sense.
Yeah, but there's also wetlands. I don't know what
Yeah, I
Pound
know.
Ridge's
I
wetland
have
rules
no
are.
idea.
Yeah.
That's why I'm
Okay,
asking.
Yep.
So,
Pound Ridge
But that
parcel.
would be part of, if they ever developed it.
right.
We'd never need to worry about that until.
Well, but they're going to be
Phase two.
driving through, so if we're trying to
What is
figure
it?
out,
Is access to the Pound Ridge
Why are they
parcel
driving
through your
through?
parcel?
In
Through-
They
fairness,
don't own it anymore.
we'll do it.
That's the other one.
But I
The-
don't know why I'm studying things that
no.
we're not even proposing.
No,
I
but
think,
no,
I
no,
think
I think it's a
each one
important
is a
point.
general sense.
Yeah.
Is there an access easement through this property to the Pound Ridge parcel?
Again, now we're getting into, is it all one property versus parcels versus, no, there isn't. This is all considered, we treat this as a continuous piece
No.
of property.
Right, but is
Okay,
there-
but an asset easement could easily be created, of
But
course.
is there an access easement?
I'd have to check.
Because
with
it
that.
used to be one owner, so it was just,
Yeah, probably not, but again, and now it's one more,
There,
right?
there is not an easement to this piece.
there's not an easement to that piece.
No.
No.
Okay.
No, no.
Oh, I didn't know,
This is why when we talk Pound Ridge, I get confused if we're talking about our 17 and a half
Yeah,
acres.
because that other piece is landlocked.
Yeah, so if,
Yeah, and that's why I'm asking, because you don't know how many houses
so
can be
this,
built there.
this piece is
But it's
actually,
landlocked.
no,
Would they have to
No.
go through
uh,
Lewisboro?
we work for these owners as well. This piece is not landlocked.
Not that piece.
Not that piece.
We've got language problems here.
Yeah, so
The
our client's Pound Ridge piece,
client's part.
correct, is only accessible through Lewisboro.
Right,
And it
and
doesn't
because that's what you
But
said.
it's got
If-
no other, yeah.
It's got
If
no
in
other-
fact town of Pound Ridge allows houses, that access has to be through your property,
correct,
your horse
The
property.
Lewisboro property, yeah.
yes.
Okay.
At the present, yes.
just, I don't want to go overboard here with these cautions, but horse farms are really quite unique in terms of the operation. And they're mostly unique to people who have no idea how, they operate. And a lot of emergency responders are going to a place on a call, on a 911 call, and their expectation is they're going to meet somebody right there and that they can communicate with. So this is a biggie. There was a farm in North Salem, lost 20 horses, biggest fire in New York State. Okay, and it's no small matter.
Understand? Yeah. I remember that fire.
I mean, with all the care that you said that these people have and how all these horses and everything, to me, it's just a given that they would want to have all of this. Okay, so
Totally.
just, how are you covering that base?
We'll come up with some answers. And truth be told, they do want to roll into phase 2. But right now, they're down in Florida with May approaching.
Right.
And their goal, because it's only a 2 to 3 month construction period, is to try and get these 2 features in before the end of the season. So that way they can use the property this season and continue to pursue phase 2 and get going for next season.
Are we clear on what they have to provide in order to get the phase 1 started?
I'm not clear. I think we need a little staff meeting maybe.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Let's get one.
The big thing from our end is we haven't seen, the proposed rough idea of what's happening, but we haven't seen wetland mitigation
Yeah, I mean,
plans,
there's a lot of stuff outstanding for phase 1.
disturbance plans, so
Yeah.
that'll be our biggest thing from our
The
end.
wetland mitigation plan.
Well, I mean, there's a memo that exists, but I think what we've roughed out here is a little bit more things that might add to a memo.
Well, that's
That's why I think a staff meeting, I would encourage.
Are you not proposing any of the driveway improvements for phase 1?
No, we are going to after this weekend sidewalk. Yeah, we're going to include the widening in the specific locations here, which was phase 2. We're just going to move more to phase 1. I'm going to add some additional drainage based on what I've been seeing out there, just to make sure that water's collected properly. It was running straight into Mountain Road, and we're going to fix that.
I will admit that we went out there after we'd gotten an inch of rain, but there was a lot of.
Well, there was a history.
There
You
was a
could
lot
see
of
what
sheet
the
flow
erosion was.
and erosion that had occurred, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm just trying to make sure that we get to the point where these guys can keep moving and we're getting what we need as far as information goes.
I think this suggestion of the staff meeting is a very good idea, so we're going to follow up on that right away.
And I think.
I asked for questions important.
Right.
I got questions, thank you.
And then I think Kevin said that he and maybe the fire department would take a visit out. So I think his feedback will be,
Pick up Jan too.
And you received the fire department's comments already, right?
I think so, yes, yeah.
okay. So
And
I
if you
think,
want to do a site visit, we're happy to do that anytime.
I think that would be, a good thing to have happen. Because
Yeah, the turning was tight.
this is a good thing. Okay.
Just with the mitigation plan, and when you go into that, I think from my end and the board's, how you feel is, this is whatever, 60%, 50%, whatever percentage of mowed lawn. So just looking, even the wetland is buffered by mowed lawn, and so just maybe keep that in mind when you're presenting what mitigation plans you're looking at, what's possible to maybe reduce mowing on it.
And I think you heard the CAC clearly about concerns about trees and tree preservation and replacement if you take a bunch down. So the big oak that we saw, I went back and looked at the plans, and I thought it looked like the oak was coming down. Could you just clarify?
With the lights around it, that?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to do it right now, but just, that,
I think it stays.
you think it stays?
According to the plan, it looks like it stays a 54-inch oak.
It stays.
I thought I saw one that had a 54-inch oak
Well,
with an
there's
X
other
on it.
54-inch oaks that have oaks across on it, but not that one.
Not that one? Okay.
Yeah, there's one farther down in the field.
All right, maybe that was the one I saw.
Do you want to see?
When
No,
you're
I looked at all the access, that was one of the first
It
things.
would be
going,
good to have
what
somebody
are all
look at
these?
that
Oh
tree
my
and
God.
assess what its health is. I'm also thinking that you've got a high water table back there. And I'd like to know the specific species of the oak and what it thrives in. I just think that those soils up there are so heavily laden with water, it's not helping the life
Yes.
of that tree.
Well, they might be able to divert,
You'd have to do a
that's what
curb.
those people would have to make.
Maybe that's part of the mitigation,
Yeah.
that they do in the phase two.
All right, so you asked for questions, you got a few.
Yeah, just a few, yeah.
Is there anything else you want from us tonight?
An approval would be nice if you could.
We're
No.
trying.
Just one other question I have, is I know part of the application is the merger or adjustment of the lot lines.
Yeah.
Right.
And I guess from my end, looking at this as like a continuous site, I'm not sure how much I love removing those from this property, being that this is like, you're, like I said, it was before, everything's mowed, fields for horses. And I mean, I know they're doing most of the mowing, but it's two wooded properties that are now gonna be not continuous with kind of this larger picture and now
Anything could
could
happen
become
to them.
anything and not relate back to what this development is. So I don't love the idea of it, doesn't seem like there's a natural purpose for it, doesn't seem like there's a really goal in what these would be. So if it just to merge with this other residence, for me, I don't see what the benefit
Can I
is.
address that? I think I did address it previously, but we're contractually obligated to do that. We don't have a choice to do that.
Between you
There's
and
no
your
out?
client, not
Between the
us.
client and our prior seller,
Okay,
okay? So we are contractually obligated to do that.
but that contract I don't think reflects upon our decision to allow it,
A lot line change?
right? I mean, if we're having to approve it.
Yeah. So the question and I think I asked it before about those two, is that if it becomes really clear that there's a tremendous amount of concern by the people who live along the road about the amount of traffic, and the traffic does look to be pretty big, those parcels are how you would get out to a main road, which I think most riding academies are on. Now, I don't know if it's too steep or anything, if it's possible to get out there or not, but if we do the lot line change, it prohibits that option. And whether one of the things that we might want to have is a easement that would say, in the future, if it makes sense to redirect the traffic out to a main road, though, there's an easement across one of those or something. I'm making stuff up. I have no idea, but I'm well aware that there's a difference between 121 and a residential road, but it might be that to try to get access through that would be so difficult that it wouldn't make sense. I don't know.
So I just want to address a couple of things, because let's have the discussion of whether or not this does make sense. There's an actual stone wall that generally follows this property line. And in fact, this neighbor at one point had encroached onto these pieces just because when you're on there from this perspective, this actually does feel like it should be one property based on Mother Nature, based on where the walls are, based on how the properties relate to each other. So there is actually a logic to doing this. I don't think it doesn't make sense. I actually think based on property history and previous concerns between neighbors and encroachments, there is some logic to doing this. I hear your point on access.
I'm sorry?
I hear your point on access.
Yeah,
This is a state road.
yeah.
The state is usually not inclined to give highway work permits for accesses when you have an alternative means of access on a local street. While you may have one preference, their preference would actually be to direct you to the local street at an existing intersection. So it may end up being a moot point from that perspective.
Yeah, I appreciate that perspective. I didn't have that. So, yes, the other thing, I guess I have another question, and I know that the idea is that these would all be merged, but the resulting parcel down at the bottom, if you took the the two edge pieces and merge them with the other one? Okay,
Right.
you're now going to have a parcel of some size, I forgot,
Is that right?
of how many?
12,
12.
goes from 5.1, I think, to 12.
So, and that's in zoning that is probably 2-acre zoning, so could they subdivide in the future, or is there?
They couldn't do anything unless you allow it,
They'd
because
have
the
to come back in
contract
front of the
provides
board.
that those lot lines are to be erased, that's to be merged, therefore becomes one lot. If they want to do anything, they come through to you.
Okay.
And if you
There
look,
may be a provision in the zoning ordinance, or I have to look at the subdivision regulations, that when you're looking at these things, if you have oversized lots, that you can ask for a kind of a subdivision, a future subdivision plan to see what it would look like.
Okay,
If the board is interested in that, I have to look at the subdivision regulations again.
right. Okay, so the longer you stay, the more questions we ask.
Okay, we gotta go now. We're holding
Is
up
there-
all the other applicants.
I mean, that's my concern, it's for the board to think about.
Yeah, yeah.
Just see
No,
it
I-
because even if it's merged, and yes, we would see it again, now we're talking about a residential use that has a oversized lot, and if you compare to probably precedents in the town of oversized lots allowing types of developments versus, the amount of development that's on this larger piece of property that's, giving away, yes, small portions, but it just seems proportionally something that's well protected, not really planned to be used from the source, that keeps these lands protected from an area that they're cutting down, probably 400 diameters of trees in this first round. And, these are wooded areas that would be protected. And maybe that homeowner would protect them forever too, we don't know, but that's a way to
Right.
lock it into this property. I just don't see the reason. I understand it's a contract, I don't think we're bound by that, that's something we'd have,
No.
but that's a preference, but it's something for people to think about.
Okay.
We have to leave now.
Like I said, we're getting more questions the longer you stay. So if there's nothing else, anybody? On your mark, get set, yeah. Get out while the getting's good.
It is there.
Okay, thank you. Okay. The next item on our agenda is in the category of wetland permit reviews. It's calendar number 05-24WP. This is the Kula Hot Tub. Did I say that right? At 7 Silkman Road, Cross River, New York. This is an application for an existing hot tub. So I believe this is a correction that we've been asked to make to something that's been done, and to just bring up to date the site plan. Is that, hi.
Hi, I'm Sarah Kula. I'm going to ask for no questions. Also agreeable.
Smart move.
We have had the hot tub delivered and put in, and yeah, I think we may have got the order a little mixed up, but now we're here and looking for approval.
Okay. So, Jan, do you want to give your assessment of this?
I forgot how this got flagged, but it came to us as the hot tub had been already installed on an existing patio surface. And the hot tub is within 50 feet of a stream. So within 50 feet, it has to come to the planning board. So it's kind of like a legalization, so to speak. But it's an installed hot tub on an existing patio. I didn't see any issue with it per se. I did speak to the homeowner. The only concern I had would be if the spa water had to be evacuated from the hot tub, that it not be discharged to the stream. And I think we agreed that you agreed that as a condition you would have it pumped to a truck.
Yeah.
Because there was no other place to really put it, and you didn't want to put in drainage for it. So,
That's right. The company we're working with has a drain and disappeared.
Okay. Goes to them, right? Their
They
problem.
take it away.
Just
All right.
anyway. So, there was some preliminary information given to you. I didn't think it needed to go too much further than that, and I looked at it and didn't really have any problem with it.
Can we do administrative on this?
That would be that would be a motion that someone could make.
There was no fence, it's tall enough.
Again, it had a cover, it didn't need a full fence, right?
New York State is allowing covers again, so,
Oh, they just changed it again.
okay, yes.
Oh,
We have to get this approved before they change the law.
It is changed multiple times.
I move that this issue, this proposal be moved administratively rather than through the board.
I'll second.
Seconded by Bruce. So, yeah, so as all of you may know, that we have the ability to delegate things, even that our planning board, to go to be handled administratively, and that's what this motion is. So, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. You don't have to come
you
see
don't
us
come
again, yeah,
back to
quick.
see us.
Good work.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure. The next, what?
I don't think we needed anything else in there.
No, I think that's it. Okay, the next item on the agenda is calendar number 08-24 WP. This is the Mendocino and Lo Rosso residents at 20 Cross Pond Road, Pound Ridge, New York, and it's an application for a swimming pool.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Dean Pushler, landscape architect for Michael and Maureen. I'll just walk you quickly through the site plan. My voice is like done this time of day, but I will do my best. So we have a pond here, a wetland that's been flagged by Mary Jennings, soil scientist, here outlined in blue. We have a 50-foot setback, just for reference here, and a 150-foot setback here. So the majority of the parcel is in buffer area. We have a 100-foot electric easement running through the property. So basically an above-ground telephone pole. So our setback for that is here, our easement edge is here. We have a rear yard setback here, and we have ledge that's going through here. So essentially our buildable area is this small portion of property here, which is currently lawn, a little bit of bluestone patio, and a little bit of grass. The majority of it is lawn. We have an existing deck that's here. I'm sure you can't see this so far away. So we're proposing an 18 by 36 swimming pool.
Is that a chlorine or salt or bromine?
Chlorine pool.
Chlorine, okay,
Chlorine pool.
better.
Salt creates chlorine, so basically it's going to have chlorine, but it won't have salt. We have patio surrounding, that looks like would be a bluestone patio. And construction access is pretty easy off the driveway here and up. We did propose some drainage as irrigation. So we have 3 infiltrators here. We have some piping that will pick up in gravel, perforated pipe that will run into the infiltrators on the larger portions of the patio. Pool equipment will be over here. We did get some comments from Jan, and I kind of went through those comments, and they all seem pretty straightforward. The only sticking, kind of real questionable one that we don't really have the answer to is can we put the infiltrators in the easement?
That's exactly what I was just going to ask.
So the homeowner has been in contact with that nice, and they've come back, there's some back and forth. So we're hoping that they will allow this here, being that they're H20 loading, they're underground, no one's going to know that they're there, so to withstand whatever trucks they drive on. So that is the hope. In the event that they don't allow it, we do have some room on this side of the pool, but we could probably squeeze some here as well. Just to get out of the, and obviously there's other alternatives.
I'm sorry?
There's other alternatives as
Okay.
well. But we're really designing for the drawdown of the pool. So that 6 inches of water that we're going to draw down, that's the largest volume versus the runoff from the patios. So we're designing for the drawdown. I did speak to the pool contractor. What he typically does is he runs a line from the pool into the drywall. And so we're proposing that. We'll propose that on the new plan. So that will have a plug on it. So when it comes to winterization, that plug is removed. The water will gravity feed into a catch basin and it will overflow into it.
So on some of these massive rainstorms that we've been getting that would raise the pool level, that isn't handled in the same way? That would be just
Yeah, so this
So
actually
you
is a nice...
unplug?
Right, so in a big rainstorm, say during the summer, the pool contractor might come and put a pump in there and pump it into the infiltrator, just to draw it down that couple inches.
Okay.
Yeah. But in the winter, that plug would remain open.
So that it
Water
can,
will continue.
right.
When snow melts, snow.
Bruce?
How much higher is the pool than the wetland? About
15 feet.
15?
15, 20 feet, yeah. Depending on the portion of the wetland we're talking about.
So the infiltrator, there's space, I tried to do it, some of the numbers as
Yeah, the
Jan's
numbers
memo.
are off, yes.
Yeah, so, but it
That's
looked like there would be,
375.
you could get an infiltrator there without being at the level of the wetland, but,
Yeah, we dug a deep hole test, 7 feet deep.
Yeah, the test were good.
The tests
Okay.
were great.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, there was no water, there was no ledge, so the infiltrator would go in, no problem. As long as we put them
all right.
in.
So the disturbance, the land disturbance, and this came up in Jan's memo. So if it's less than 5,000 square feet,
Yeah.
the stormwater acts as mitigation. If you go more than 5,000 square feet, it's required. But, and you're right on the edge here.
They are, and I had met with Dean at a pre-application meeting, and I kind of pushed him to do stormwater mitigation as part of his wetland mitigation, because I thought it was more valuable than doing a planting package. For the pool drawdown and the patio, I just thought it was
Yeah.
real valuable, as opposed to planting. If the board felt that some planting was, valuable as well. In addition, you could certainly ask for it, but I want to let you know that I did, because it was, they didn't need a stormwater permit per se, I pushed them to do the stormwater. And note that the Coltex are pushing that limits of disturbance up.
Yeah,
Right.
so it's like iterative,
Never
yeah.
ending,
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like, they're putting their money towards, I think, some pretty important things.
Right.
Just leave it at that.
Yeah, so that was my question, is once you go over 5,000 square feet,
It's
do
not
we,
required, there's discretion there in the
There's-
code.
okay,
With regard to the 5,000 square feet, I think Jan asked to include the fence
Yeah.
in the application. So when you put in a fence, you're really just digging a hole, right? So there's really,
But it's going up a slope.
it's all going up
You
a
know,
slope.
so the only reason I mentioned that
You
is,
definitely wouldn't use machine.
is we don't like, when you get very close, and this doesn't have to do with whether you're doing stormwater mitigation or not, but when you're getting very close to the 5,000 square foot threshold,
Yeah.
and needing to get coverage under the state permit, which is just a form that you have to submit to the state. You did all the work already. A lot of times it's just safer, in our opinion, just to get that extra permit.
So I think
because-
you asked me to submit to the state. Is it the same permit?
Well, it's the coverage under the speedies general permit is required when you hit 5,000
Okay,
square
okay.
feet. We think you're so close, and once you grade out that swale,
Yes.
and yeah, the fence are gonna be there.
Yeah.
And contractors, you know, they're never super accurate, so.
We try to be tight.
It's not gonna change our plan at all, but it's just like it's just a safety measure, so we don't have to really,
Yeah, but it doesn't change anything with regard to the town.
it really doesn't, no.
Yeah, so we're close to 5,000, I think.
And then you don't have to like watch over your back or be super careful about your limits of disturbance, then you're kind of
You're
free
covered.
to open things up a little bit, you know?
Sure.
So,
Great.
So one of the suggestions that Jan had was that we refer this to the building inspector, which we can do by consensus, so
Yes.
refer it to the building inspector?
Yeah, he's going to see this when we submit.
Right. But it's just for zoning compliance, and I think this question on the, I know it's tough to figure out what the easement what the,
What can you do in easement?
yeah, what can you do in the easement would be interesting.
Is there a general description on record, file?
Not that we can find.
we had another one,
Yeah, we did at some
we had
place.
another one that was a similar easement and they allowed the underground. So I think it's worth investigating this.
So they came back to us and said they had some issues with it, if their trucks fell through it.
Oh, yeah.
But we said, we came back with it and said, well, they're H20 loading 330 XLs, so they should withstand 16,000, 32,000 pounds per axle. So they haven't responded
Oh, good.
back.
So you'll find out.
Good.
Fine.
Yeah.
It'll be a yes or no if we have to relocate them. I think we can, but it's going to then push us probably beyond the 5,000.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the major,
I could go through the list if you want. I think it's,
no, I think we're good. I mean, there's a lot of stuff there that I think is
just notes.
Is notes, right, is notes. The only other thing, and this is, I know, not necessarily up to date, but I do check the Westchester County comments on when septics were last pumped, and they don't have a record of any septics being pumped after 2017, but they also don't have any data for 23 or 24, and their records are also not good. So I'm just going to say that might be something just to do, is a nice thing to do. And that, so I think we do need probably to see this again, or,
Well, it's going to depend on the answer they get.
Yeah.
If they're okay with putting the Coltex in the easement, we can move this to administration.
right, we can go quickly.
If it's got to go someplace else, we may
Yeah.
want to see it.
So,
I think the easiest place for the infiltrator is here.
right,
Yeah.
So it's a little deeper dig if we move it here. So that's the only
right.
negative. I don't think it's going to affect.
Question, are we going to require mitigation for the wetland?
They're doing the stormwater.
Well, so this is the discussion we sort of had, and I had also with Jan. So they're so close to being under 5,000 square feet, and under 5,000 square feet,
Yeah, no, I heard the discussion.
Yeah. So
You're using that as mitigation then?
we're using it as mitigation. I think if it comes out that there's,
I think it's more valuable litigation than anything else.
if it comes back that there's, because things have to move, there's a lot more disturbance or something, maybe we would ask for, because it is closer to the stream. I also don't know what you're allowed to put.
Is there
The
an
mitigation.
alternative location to be closer to the wetland?
No, it'll be farther.
Be further?
That'd be preferred.
Further. But, most of the mitigation would have to take place inside the easement unless it was, unless there's something that comes off the driveway that could be mitigated. But that's, before it flowed into,
I do have the original approvals of the house when it was built in 2001 by the owners, and they did substantial mitigation back then, and the pool was on the plan back in 2001.
oh, okay.
So this area in here, was planted and was on the survey, as-built survey. So
Okay, good.
there was pretty substantial, there's 6 red maples, 5 red oaks, 3 amelanchier, here, 29 red chokeberries, and there's going on and on. So
And when was that again?
this was *01, so not yesterday.
No, so
So these trees have. gotten
hopefully
big
they would be
and-
big.
Yeah.
But, boy, those people back in '01 were smart. Good, okay.
Do you have are you planning any plantings around the patio and proposed development?
Not really. I mean, there's existing plantings around the deck, and I think we just let the pool just kind of float into it. And if we do, we'll use names.
Yeah,
I mean, it's totally up to the board, it's your discretion.
yeah. Well, let's find out what happens, and then, I mean, I'm thinking, I do feel that the stormwater is an important
Yeah.
element,
I
so,
agree with that.
okay, thank you. So, do you think you can have the easement information for us for next month?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But
well-
if not, I'm gonna move this context anyway.
Right, so unfortunately, the submission date is, I think, next week. Let me look.
Well, like John said, I don't know, do you feel you need to see it again, or do you feel, Jan,
I'm comfortable with it.
yeah, from
We're
my
gonna
end,
look
I
at
feel like
easement information.
Jan could make the decision for us.
All right,
That would be great to have that happen, just
wouldn't it?
time-wise, but
If everyone's on board with the stormwater as a mitigation, I personally would feel comfortable letting Jan take the decision if it's gonna go from one place to the other. We're talking, yes, probably another 500 square feet or more of disturbance, but we're right at that edge anyway.
So was that a motion?
It's a motion to put it as to an administrative.
I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, so, all in favor?
Aye.
So we approved a motion to have this go administrative, and Jan, thank you for taking that on.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, the next item on,
Jan should
thank
have
you, good luck, good luck. Sorry you had to sit through so long, but, okay. The next item on the agenda is calendar number 09-24WP. This is the Forlini Dock at 36 Bishop Park Road, Pound Ridge, New York. It's an application for a new dock.
Yes, hi, I'm Gary Forlini. I confess I feel naked for not bringing display boards or charts, but in the paperwork you have, I think you've probably seen the location of the dock that I proposed and the builder's sketch. It's not very large, it's 30 feet long with a little ladder at the end of it. It's a floating dock, so we expect the impact to be hopefully negligible. And happy to answer any questions.
So is there a dock there at all now?
No, this would be new.
Okay.
Are there docks on either side of you, on your the other properties?
You know, I don't know. I've only owned the property for about 2 months. I don't see any.
Okay. Okay, I, being part of a lake association,
Oh, are you?
I've got
Are
a
you?
few questions for you,
Well,
unfortunately.
Where are you on the lake?
I'm on Lake Truesdale.
Oh, Truesdale,
So
okay.
it's-
I'm Kitchener.
Are you a member of an association?
Yes.
Okay, you need to find out from them, do they have any requirements
Oh,
for?
I did, and they
We did,
responded.
we've got
Okay.
both.
Yeah, it's in
See.
the packet.
Okay, I looked at the drawing, I don't remember reading everything there.
Good.
Okay, so you've got your approvals on that. Okay, that's pretty much what I was concerned about. that
Yeah,
they
so there's
didn't
two
come
different,
back after
yeah,
you.
there's two different organizations, and it looks like both of them said.
They're okay with it?
No problems, no comments, you
Good.
know, so that's good.
Can this go administratively?
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
So the motion is that
You
we
don't have
will
to come
give
back to
this
see us.
to Jan to handle administratively.
Oh, wonderful. Great.
And that's a second from Bruce? Okay, yeah, I think this is pretty minimal. The only other thing I would say, just like I just said to the last person, Westchester County's records are not perfect, but I did not see any record of pumping. I assume that if you just bought this house, yes, it got pumped?
I did it as part of the inspection process.
Right, so that's good.
And I annoyed my neighbor, but we did it.
It's important, especially if
I
you're
know.
purchasing a new, so, okay, that's great to hear. So Did we vote? I don't think we did. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so,
Quick and easy.
yes, right.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Let me say, I'm loving living in Lewisboro.
Oh, good, and
Great.
enjoy the lake, it's a wonderful
Oh,
thing.
Yes, it's
Okay.
beautiful. Thank you very much.
Sure.
You're welcome. Beyond, I guess I will call you.
We have everything we need, we'll issue permits.
Oh, so I just go ahead and tell Dock Builders Corporation to build it?
You wait till you get the permit.
Oh, I have to get that
It'll
first.
probably be like this week or early next.
Okay, so that will be in the mail?
Get it?
Or does it come by email?
Comes by email?
Email?
Email, but, so Kirsten is out the end of this week because she's busy getting her,
But it'll be Kara Sullivan who sends you
right.
the permit by email.
Well, I have Jan's number.
Yeah, but he
So you know how to follow
won't
up
send
if
you
you don't see it,
Well,
okay.
And Kirsten's not here. then
So
Right,
if
right.
you don't see it by Tuesday, give us.
I don't see it by Tuesday, a week from today.
Yes,
Okay. Well, good, thank you very much.
great, thank you.
Welcome to Lewisboro.
Yes. Okay, so we have a couple more things. One is that, so we had our meeting to discuss some of the changes that were proposed to the zoning amendments as part of the comprehensive plan. And at that time, we thought that things were going to move pretty quickly. So I think as we discussed then a little bit, the comprehensive plan update and the zoning amendments update are now bifurcated, and they're first going to approve the town board is first going to consider the comprehensive plan, and then second going to look at all these zoning amendments. So we have, as this is constructed, we do have some extra time to look at some things. There's been some talk of the town board actually having another work session on it. And I think Judd had said that, do you know if a date was scheduled?
I heard a date in May
A date in May?
for zoning.
For zoning? Okay. So just as a work session discussion.
Yeah.
So, I think, again, we're meeting, we're going to be meeting in May, but maybe if we know what the date is, maybe we will have a discussion at the next meeting to talk about anything new that came up. I don't know if there were other things that we looked at that might be important. So anyway, we do have a while before they refer things to us. We were asking about, do you know, if the work session date has been set up?
I think it's going to be May 25, I think. I also, I'm pleased that that's happening, because obviously as an outgrowth of the discussion we had at the meeting where we went through, it'll give us an opportunity to have a little more direct conversation with the town board, particularly with regard to the wetland code. So.
Okay, and so that does say that since our next meeting is May 21st, we could actually schedule, a little bit of time at our meeting to see if there's anything else that comes up.
Right.
Okay, so just again, this is probably going to result in some important code changes. So if you see anything, I did prepare but didn't give to Judd. I gave to Judd but not to everybody, but I will share it as I looked to see how other towns handle, whether some of them do it administratively, any wetland violations, or whether they do it through the courts. And it seems like a few of the neighboring towns really have started doing either both. They sort of say the towns can handle an administrative penalty, there might still be a criminal penalty, and they tie it into making sure that there's some as we were really interested in some remediation. So I think there's a lot of language there that, but we need to keep looking. I'll try to circulate what I found and see if we can do that. So that's one thing. The other thing that we wanted to mention is the new email format. So I think everybody's gotten their new email address. It's not, I guess, maybe you could talk a little bit about the purpose and how we're.
Well, yeah, and don't ask me about the IT piece of this. 'Cause
Right.
I'm not going to be able to answer that. Other than I understand this is not really user-friendly at this point in terms of setting it up and access or whatever. But I think it's important, and it's certainly a best practice, that for purposes of anything that is communicated that involves planning board business, that we begin to use a town email address, a town server. The key purpose really is from the public officers law and a FOIL standpoint. And we have kind of avoided, and this board certainly has the benefit of having avoided the FOIL gauntlet. We've had to deal with it a couple of times in the past on prior applications and prior boards, and it can be a real headache. And FOIL would extend to anything that you are doing on your individual accounts right now that would relate to planning board business. So it's better to capture it all in one place. The issue, and Jan and Jan and I were talking about this yesterday, is that as we begin to kind of unroll this process, and again, this is where my IT piece, can't come in, but basically all of you knowing when something has hit that, that town account, so that you can go and take a look at it. I mean, if you have a routine of checking, every other day or daily, that's kind of good practice. The other issue, or other kind of way to deal with it until it can become more kind of automatic in terms of something spitting out to you when it hits, is everything to be routed through Kirsten and then distributed by Kirsten to the board. And if it's something important that you need to see, then I have no problem with an email from me or from Kirsten to your individual account saying something's been filed, go take a look. That to me, from a FOIL standpoint, is not a concern.
Should we have planning board emails, individual planning board emails?
That's what this
That's
basically
the goal,
given.
right?
So we are going to have,
Yes.
So you are Plan 1, I think.
I'm 3, so it's.
Yeah, I think I'm
Plan
more.
1 at
Yeah.
this Lewisboro NY.gov.
Go, yeah.
the purpose, from what I understand, is so that people don't hack the, as easily, because there's a lot of taking the .com and sending out emails from third parties that are not planning board or governments, and they really hack into the computers.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know IT either, but I read an
Right.
article saying that that's why .gov is important, and
Yeah,
thinking, yeah.
I mean, that piece, from my perspective, I just view this as, I
Pain in
view
the
it
neck.
through the lens of FOIL.
Yeah.
God forbid there's litigation and issues come up as to, email communications. There's a litigation hold, if there's
Yeah.
a lawsuit, you get a litigation hold, you have to lock everything down.
No, it makes sense.
This just puts it all in one place, makes it a lot easier.
So I guess I just have some questions about, the sort of implementation. I think I actually use Thunderbird, and accumulate all my different accounts there. I'm going to have to talk to Joel and see whether I can do that. That might solve this problem for me. The other thing is, I'm assuming we shouldn't delete, but I went out to my old account and it has, my account, I've had a planning one for a while, so it has like 2021 stuff and, really old things that I haven't been using. Can I just sort of, is there any process envisioned that we know of that will, what?
On your own, like Outlook or whatever,
No.
can't you just create a folder and?
Well, that's what I'm saying. We can, but is there any automatic archiving that takes place that we don't have to worry, or will I interfere with it if I say, old mail prior to 2024?
You
Stick it in.
could probably create a folder, like Judd is saying, and then Joel can put it on the planning board server, so it's there, it's history, as an archive.
I've already done that, but it's just not gone away. I just don't know what the
You want to know
town
if
is.
you can delete it? is
I
what
want
you're
to,
asking.
well, I can hide it.
Hiding it
So I
still
don't have
takes
to
up
deal with
data.
it, but, what?
You don't want to look at it.
Well, it's old stuff, it's
clutter, yeah.
completed, it's gone, so, so I just want to make sure I assume we are not to delete anything then.
I wouldn't delete anything.
Okay.
And actually, I'd have to take a look at the town's, record retention. I'll admit it, I haven't looked at what the town has promulgated as far as record retention. I can do that. But,
I think if we just sort of agree that we're putting things into folders but not deleting,
I think that's what I would recommend.
yeah, then
Right.
it's just that this is new. Okay, so I know I was able to set up one. I think, Paul,
Mine's set up.
you're set
I
up?
haven't set it up yet.
You haven't set it up?
Neither have
I
I.
haven't gone in and
Okay.
looked at it because there's nothing in there.
Yep, I need to
Well,
see.
you'll
This
find,
meeting was, this.
Yeah.
Was it? Well, this meeting was also.
The three of you over.
yeah, so what I think we ought to try to do is by our next meeting, have everybody kind of get in and try playing with it, try looking. I sent myself a couple of test messages, which are also going to be really interesting to anybody who ever foils test message. So, just to see how it kind of worked and looked. So I think if we can try to do that by our next meeting, and then maybe at that meeting, we'll start to sort of say, okay, we're cutting
Kind
over.
of troubleshoot and figure out where we are. Yeah.
Yeah. And then maybe actually, Kirsten, a few of the things you send both to the personal and to that one between now and then, and we can see how it goes and troubleshoot at the next meeting, and then,
This is what's known as a beta test.
there you go, look at all tech on us.
Yeah, like an IT guy.
Yeah. Okay,
Water has beta fish, is that the same thing?
Yeah, they all fight.
okay, so I think if we can all just try to get that done, that would be great. Then, the only other thing I wanted to add under discussion, it wasn't on the agenda, but I want to disclose that apparently Mercedes-Benz is going to have some changes, and they want to invite, I've been invited to a potential meeting that's supposed to happen sometime between now and the next meeting. I think, as I understand it, Kevin might be going, Jan might be going, Duff might be going, so it might be a few of us, but just to let you all know that I might be in a meeting without all of you. I'll be so sad, but I will report on it at the next meeting if this does indeed happen. Okay. With that, we have the minutes of March 19th and April 3rd. Now, we didn't have the same people at all of them, so I guess we better do them separately?
Please.
Okay, so I look for a motion to approve the minutes of March 19th.
I'll make a motion.
Everyone but
19th, you would,
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of March 19th.
A second.
any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
and Charlene abstains. I thought you missed the 4th, the April 3rd one.
No,
No, she was here for that.
no, it was
No,
March
she's at
19th.
the April 3rd meeting.
Yeah.
zoning, yeah.
But,
Sorry,
you know,
I'm
Judd,
confused all the
yeah,
time.
Yeah, it was, Judd, my understanding is that I could vote on it. I don't want to vote on it, but,
Yeah, you can, but,
Right.
yeah.
okay, I just wanted to know.
For purposes of minutes, but I think that's another thing, it's like
No
best
problem,
practices.
no
you're not-
problem.
yeah.
I-
Right, it wasn't
Okay.
there.
I read
so
them.
I don't know if they're right.
And then the second thing is the minutes of April 3rd,
I make a motion
okay?
to approve.
I'll second.
And Bruce seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so with that, the next meeting date is March 21st, 2024?
May.
Yeah, that-
I'm sorry, May, I'm going backwards.
too rainy.
Is May 21st, 2024. Oh, thank you, people, for helping me. And I'd look for a motion to adjourn the meeting at,
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, this
Okay.
one still says April 16th on there.
I know.
So
So we have a motion.
We're gonna notice it.
So
Second.
moved.
And second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think